Most of us think about adults when we hear the term sleep apnea, but children who have sleep apnea can have complications if not diagnosed and treated early, that is. Dr. Stephanie Hansen, a pediatrician at Sanford Children's, is here to talk about how sleep apnea is different for children and what can be done. Good morning, Dr. Hansen. You're in the house.
Yes.
I love it. This is so great. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, and I didn't even realize that this was as serious of a topic as it is. So first of all, can you explain to us what pediatric sleep apnea is?
Yeah, well, it's similar to adult sleep apnea in that it is pauses or stopping of breathing during sleep, and it can happen multiple times throughout the night.
Okay, so very serious.
Very serious. You know, sleep apnea, we know, causes a lot of health problems in adults. The same is true for kids. Kids need good quality sleep at night to be able to learn and grow and develop normally. And if that sleep is interrupted or not of good quality, they can run into problems that way.
Okay, and so then what causes that? Like, are there certain kids maybe that are more apt to sleep apnea than others?
Yeah, there are definitely kids that are at higher risk. So, you know, certainly obesity is a factor, just like it is in adults. But one of the most common causes of sleep apnea in kids is large tonsils and adenoids.
Ah, yes.
Blocking that airway, so there's not enough room for air to pass through. Other kids who have maybe craniofacial differences, so in their face or in their skull, or they have neuromuscular diseases like cerebral palsy, they may be more prone to sleep apnea as well.
Okay, so what do you recommend then that they do in to kind of
well, I think, you know, anytime a parent has a concern about their child's sleep, where they feel like they're not getting good rest, or they seem tired during the day, or they're running into behavior or learning problems, sleep should be on your mind as a potential. And there are pediatric sleep specialists, just like there are adult sleep specialists. So kids can go through a sleep study. It's non-invasive. A parent is allowed to stay with them, and it's a great way to figure out what's going on during their sleep.
Oh yeah, that's definitely important. So how would a parent notice that their child is having sleep apnea?
Yeah, well, you know, the first thing we think of is snoring. So if they're having loud snoring, snoring that really seems like they're choking or gasping, those would be reasons to be concerned. But not every child with apnea snores, especially young children, babies or toddlers. And so you might look for pauses in their breathing, particularly long pauses, and then some gasping afterwards.
Okay, so it's kind of scary to think, I mean, when you hear even, you know, an adult snoring or gasping for air, when a parent is hearing this in their child, it's very concerning, obviously.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
what do you suggest, the first steps that they do?
Yeah, first step is to just talk with your child's pediatrician or primary care provider about it. Really come with an idea of what you're noticing, what type of symptoms your child's having during sleep and awake, and that provider can help guide you through that workup and next steps.
Okay, all right. Ugh. It's crazy to think that children, and you don't hear children snoring very often. I mean, it's cute usually what we think. It's like, oh, listen to them snore, it's cute. But it can't be something a little bit more serious. So any other tips that we can do as parents for our kids in that circumstance?
Yeah, you know, making sure if your child has any underlying allergies, if they are obese, you know, really paying attention to those things and doing your best to help manage those conditions. That can improve the quality of their sleep overall.
Okay, let's go back to going into the sleep clinic, because that can be a scary situation for adults as well. Do you have any idea, I mean, like what they actually are doing when they're at the sleep clinic?
Yeah. So it's painless, and I think that's one of the most important things to tell your child ahead of time. There's not going to be any needles, there's no pokes, and the parent will be with them the entire time. So I think a lot of kids have fear that they're going to be separated from their parent, and that doesn't happen. So I think it's important to just reassure your child that they're not going to be in pain and they're not going to be alone.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us. A topic that I think most don't really think about, but an important one with our children. So thank you again, Dr. Hansen, for being with us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Stay tuned. What goes in your credit score? We are breaking it down with Tony Walls next.